Today I'm going to share my principles of business. These principles were created out of my earlier childhood, some of the things that were difficult through my business experiences. They were accumulation of all those kinds of things. I learned the purpose of these principles is to give you all a new way of thinking. Change your thinking and you change your world. I grew up in a very poor and dangerous public housing project in Brooklyn. The schools were so bad that I had to teach myself to read, and I finally taught myself to read when I was in high school. The reason my schooling was so poor in the community that I grew up in, half the children did not speak English, and the other half did not have parental supervision. So I was just washed away with the wave. Nothing to do with the teachers, just the environment that I grew up in. My first principle is, if it's to be, it's up to me. You can't go around and say, it's my competitor's fault, it's my mom and dad's fault, it's the world's fault, it's the economy, it's an employee's fault. You have to keep all the power of everything that goes on in your business right here. If you don't keep all your power right here and you don't take all the responsibility right here, you lose your ability to make change. You lose the ability to make it great. All you'll become is a typical finger pointer when you go bankrupt and say it was everybody else's fault. Keep your power here and you will be able to have a superior business. Not asking is an automatic no. People used to say, oh, but they'll think I'm stupid or blah, blah, blah. I go, you know what, I ask. And you know what the worst they can do is say no. They're certainly not going to hit me. So I ask. I ask for everything because I didn't know you can't ask. I didn't know you weren't supposed to ask. So no, I give you permission right here and now, ask for everything. I'll give you an example. I had sold to hotels, as I said before, and I used to see 13 hotels a day going door to door, the hard way, of course. And so I learned the industry. I focused on the industry, and I sold to 4- and 5-star hotels only. And the reason I sold to 4- and 5-star hotels is my philosophy. If you're going to do business, only knock on doors of people that have the money to pay you and buy merchandise from you. And one day I went to the Plaza Hotel, and I came in, and I looked around, and I noticed that they had red stanchions, and there was a lot of chandeliers and crystal. And I went, what is going on? I went directly to purchasing, and I said to Susan, what's with the glitz? And she said, don't you know, Sheila, the Trumps bought the Plaza. Ha! So, I used to take it personal that all these buildings were mine personally. How I ever got to that point, I don't know, coming from such abstract poverty and having to teach myself to even read. But I did, because I walked around and I mirrored everything I saw. I learned. So I went home, and in, of course, the extra bedroom, which I called my back office, I wrote a letter to Mrs. Trump. Dear Mrs. Trump, I went through your building today, and I'd like to be able to assist you in what you're doing. Because what you're doing is you're taking a 4-star historical property and you're degrading it, and therefore you're ruining your own investment. So, typed it up, printed it out, sold the envelope, put a stamp on it, and sent it. What did I have to lose? I had nothing to lose. Sent it on a Friday. Monday, I got a phone call from Steve Kaplan. He was Mrs. Trump's, Ivana Trump's, not Ivanka, Ivana's Trump's purchasing agent. And he said, it's naughty, but that's whatever. He said, Mrs. Skolnick, Mrs. Trump would like to see you today. I said, because you have to shut down, because you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to go, yes! So I said, Mr. Kaplan, I said, I'm very sorry, but I cannot come today to see Mrs. Trump. And he was like, what? You can't see Mrs. Trump? Mrs. Trump? I says, I'm really sorry, I can't. He says, okay, tomorrow. And I said, I really apologize, but I cannot go to next Tuesday. He says, okay, next Tuesday, 9 o'clock sharp, bam. Now, I wasn't being being deceitful or trying to look big or whatever. I needed to know what to wear when I went to see her, because mirroring people is very important. When I went to hotels to sell, I used to wear a dark suit, I used to wear a white shirt and only pearls, because I was a female in an arena where it was very, very big business. So that's how I dressed. But I knew she was a very stylish woman, and I was going to discuss with her how she was presenting her historical property. So I needed to go to the city and stand on the corner of 57th and 5th and see how women in her world dressed so I could properly mirror her. So I stood there and I noticed certain things. I noticed what they wore, how they wore it. And the one thing I noticed that really stood out, that women in her community, because that's where she lived, wore this this cloth flower, this nice cloth flower. So I got all dressed. I wore a pendulum suit, very stylish, got the flower going on. I chose the nail polish, proper accessories. And I went to meet her. For whatever reason, I never get nervous over those things. Never got nervous. I don't know why. Because I was just so happy. I was just so excited. Coming from my history, everything was glee. Everything was wow. Knocked on the door, just gently. She opened it, and the moment she looked at me, bam, we connected because I looked like her. She thought I was on her stratus. And she was wearing the same flower I was wearing, which was the coup of all coups. So I proceeded to do millions and millions of dollars with her. Say yes to everything. Unless it's illegal, immoral, can hurt you or someone else. Say yes. If a customer is asking you for something, there's a sale to be had. Don't shut them down and go, oh no, we don't do that. Or some of the females that used to go, oh, I don't do that. They're a customer. They have money because you went to the people that have money and they want something. Say to them, if you know how to do it, do it. If you don't, say, you know what, I'm not familiar with that, but I'd be more than happy to do the research and find it for you. I used to go out in the world and I used to figure it out. I used to hunt and search. I used to go to trade shows all over the country. I used to travel all over the country to find these things and products and needs to fit the needs of my clients. And you know what? When I came back to them and they knew how hard it was to get and everyone else didn't, they gave me the business. Oh, what a concept. Customer wanted something and you found it and you did it for you and you got the business. And they appreciated it. And they think highly of you. And they wanted to do more business with you. I was just wanting enough money to feed my children, and I wanted enough money to send them to college. That was my drive. I wasn't a bra burner or anything. I just wanted to make money, and I said, this is the way to go. I had a house, I had 2 boys. I had a life going on and not a penny. So the thing is to act as if. So I used to walk around as if I knew what I was doing. I didn't lie, I didn't fib, I just acted as if, learned how to stand, learned how to dress, and I was appropriate. The question I used to ask that you need to ask your customers, is there anything that you're looking for that you can't find or that any of your other vendors haven't found for you? A better price, better delivery, or a product to solve a problem. Be quiet, get your pen out and write, because they'll tell you. And I took that information, which was a buying signal, huge buying signal, and I went and found it for them. Sometimes it would take me a year to find. Sometimes I had to create it myself, but I did it. I created it myself. And I also took, because I sold operating supplies and equipment, I also took, after a while, the steps of creating products that they didn't even ask me for, because I saw a need. The ironing board and organizer in the guest room closet, right? I created that. I got corporate to buy it all over the country, sold 500,000 of them. Thank you all very much for your valuable time. I gave you takeaways. I hope you understand that this is from my heart. These are my personal experiences, and I built a huge company with it. And these are the ways I trained all my salespeople. And when I do my consulting work and when I do my teaching and training, I save these. I teach these, and they also become very successful. I said, thank you all very much.